Hello, world. It's me, Dennis, and today on A Conversation with, this is part one of my conversation with Kim Ware. And I found out about Kim through our producer, Renee Yaworski. Renee, tell us about Kim.
Well, it's been so wonderful to meet Kim Ware. She, along with Andy Gish, is a co founder of Kimono My House, which is a virtual concert venue. And I was playing shows there and became acquainted with her. And I learned so much about her through your conversation. One thing I learned is that, like me, she was a girl drummer and then became, like me, a singer songwriter later. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so cool. And then she even toured with the Indigo Girls. And it's just so much going on in her life. But one thing that I wanted to talk about is that she has a new record coming out. We learned about her new podcast that we were on called Quarantined with the Good Graces. She also is in grad school. She's taking improv classes. There's a lot going on with her right now. But I loved this conversation, and I think our audience is going to love it too.
So do I. So we will get to part one of my conversation with Kim Ware after a word from our sponsor.
This episode of A Conversation With is sponsored by In Search of the New Compassionate Male. For more information, visit newcompassionatemail.com.
This is a song off my last album. It's probably my favorite off the album. It's called I Dropped Your Name. I quit drinking just to show you that I could. Just to prove that my intentions are good. If you'd stop smoking, you could get rid of that cough. I'm just hoping that you'll give it a little thought. I dropped your name on the sidewalk, but nobody heard it. I've got no shame, and I'm all talk anyway. thinking just to show you that I could.
Oh, Kim Ware, Kim Ware, Kim Ware. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Dennis.
All right, tell me the story of the song.
Oh, sure. So, it's called I Dropped Your Name, and I kind of like that turn of phrase, like dropping a name. I think it's just
Isn't
kind of
it
funny, right?
wonderful? It has so many meta meanings.
It really does. It's so visual, right? And so I was at a show at Eddie's Attic in Atlanta about, God, it's been, probably 4 years now. And I just found myself in a very name-droppy setting. And so I just was thinking about it, like after the show. It was a good show. It was like, I won't say the name, but it was like one of my favorite
Yeah.
artists. And on the way home, I was thinking about having been in that setting. And I was just thinking, that's kind of cool, like dropping a name, like that's kind of cool for a song, a premise for a song. And on the way home, I just kind of started writing it in my head. It probably started with the first verse. Most of my songs do, but this one, because it was all about dropping your name, it might have started
Yeah.
with the chorus. I can't really remember exactly, but got home pretty late at night and started working on it that night, and then finished it a few days later. And it was largely stream of consciousness, really, once I just had that initial thought about it being about name dropping
And giving up.
Yeah, it's kind of
And releasing and letting go. There's so much. It's a very rich song.
Thank you.
You had, is that your normal songwriting process? Do you get an idea? Does an idea come to you while you're making dough or figuring out something, and then something goes and then you start to scribble down? What's your process?
I've never made dough, but yeah.
Well,
I know. But yeah, I would say that is somewhat typical. It's usually it comes at random times.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that we have these things now, because what often happens is, like, I'm doing something else. A lot of it comes to me when I'm driving, especially. Yeah. Which, I haven't been doing as much of that because I haven't really been going many places. But I used to, when I lived in Atlanta, I would often drive to North Carolina over the weekend. That was like about every other weekend I would come here. And that's like a 3.5 hour drive. And so often things would come to me during that drive, and I would like hum it or sing it into my phone, and then take it and try to write the song later.
Did you have, Kim, when and where were you 18 years old?
When and where was I 18? I was in Kings Mountain, where I live now, in Kings Mountain, North Carolina.
And what year was that?
That would have been when I graduated high school in 1990, so around 1990.
So who were you then?
Oh my gosh! So
talk to me about her. Tell me about her and what she was into, and was she a part of a crowd or what? Tell me about Kim Ware.
Wow, what an interesting question, Dennis, and I've never been asked that. So 18-year-old me, very shy, very quiet. I've always been a rule follower, but I especially was around that age. Mm-hmm. And that was the age where I'm thinking of that time as being like kind of in between graduating high school and starting college.
Right.
So I was very excited to be out on my own finally for the first time, because I was pretty sheltered as a kid. I was pretty innocent, really.
Sure.
And I guess I was kind of like, I don't know that I fit very solidly into like one specific group. Like, I was kind of a band nerd. I was kind of like a sort of a sports, like athletic. I played tennis in high school, and I did the band. So that was my kind of extracurricular stuff. But I was really, really into me and my best friend growing up loved Daryl Hall and John Oates. So I was really into Hall and
Name
Oates.
check your best friend. Don't drop.
Oh God, yeah, Donna Riley.
Yeah, Donna.
Yeah, I'll have to make sure that she hears this. But yeah, we loved them, so I was really into that. And I think I was just kind of a normal teenage girl really that was kind of on the more like kind of innocent, quiet, sort of do-gooder side
Had
of
you
things,
had
really.
you played music? What was on your play besides Hall and Oates? What was on your impetus to music? What were the things that you were listening to? I guess that was the
Sure.
Walkman time, right? I mean, that was when you had the little
Yeah,
tape,
yeah.
cassette tape, because this is pre-internet for all
Yeah,
of
for
those
sure.
children who don't remember before the
Hmm.
internet happened. This was right at the very beginning.
It was, and it was CDs were either had just happened or were just about to happen.
Yeah,
Because yeah, so basically my musical taste was very informed by top 40 pop music radio. Like I had not been exposed to much more. And in fact, I was really interested in like communications and stuff though. So when I went to college, I went to a meeting about being a DJ at the college station. And I remember the Danny Ling, the music director, super cool guy, wanted to know what kind of music I was into, and I was so proud to say that my favorite band was Hall and Oates at the college station. And he was so nice. He was like, we don't really play that kind of music. And he goes, and I was like, okay. And he said, we play, and I interrupted him to say weird music. Like, what the hell? And he just kind of laughed, but he still let me be a DJ. And that opened my eyes to so much like what they called alternative music.
right. And
Yeah.
and so this opened, did you get, were you writing music at that time? Were you writing
No.
poetry? Were you doing anything or understanding that,
No.
would you look at Kim Age today, at Kim Ware today and go, wow, what's that about?
Absolutely. I played drums in the band at high school. So I was a percussionist
Hmm.
at that time. And it was probably when I was 20 years old. So it would be a couple years when I joined my first like rock band. So that, and when I was 18, none of that had happened yet. And I didn't start writing songs until I was about 30.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well,
that was
you have to have a well of life experience in order to be able to want to write something, right?
for me. I did for sure. Yeah.
Certainly. All right. So you joined, and so you were a percussionist in the band, in your first
Yes.
band.
Yeah, well, and I got a drum kit when I was 16. That was something I got for Christmas, and started doing that. I learned to play drums by playing Bon Jovi's "Born to Be My Baby." That song is what taught me how to play like rock drums. And so I would do that, and like it when I was in the band at high school, we had a really good band, like the school band, and
Mhm.
every year the highlight of the spring concert it would feature the senior drummers from the band. And we would play this song called "Song for the Young." It's kind of like pop music with like orchestral,
Yeah.
with like horns and stuff. It's a really cool song, but we had like the drum set out on the stage, and the song was like split into three parts, and so one drummer would start the song, another drummer would play the middle section, and another drummer would play the end. So basically I got drums largely just so I'd know how to play the "Song for the Young" in the spring concert, and that was really about it. But then I started playing Bon Jovi and stuff like that
Oh,
after.
cool.
Yeah.
And so did you notice your personality growing, or were you coming out of yourself more and getting more involved and engaged as you went from this time of innocence into,
I did a little bit. I mean, I left Kings Mountain, the small town where I grew up, and I went to college at UNC Wilmington on the coast. And
Mhm.
so that was about, 4.5, 5 hours away. So I was like on my own for the first time. So I think I did start to kind of develop my personality more, come out of my shell. But honestly, I think when I joined, not the very first band I joined, but the second one that I joined with he's now my husband, Mark. He had a band called Tex Fingali, and long story short, I went into a record store once. I was staying over in Wilmington for the summer, and my parents said, well, you got to find a job. So this would have been when I was about to turn 21. Went in the record store, put in an application for a job, noted on my application that I played the drums because it wanted to know like your musical interests and
Sure.
stuff. That afternoon, my husband went into the same record store to put up a flyer looking for a drummer. And the manager of the record store, which this probably wasn't really appropriate for him to do, but he said, this girl came in this morning, you should call her. And so the rest is history. I joined their band, and that really, I owe so much to that experience of playing in that band, Tex Bengali, and I only lasted with them for probably about a year and a half. But I think that if I had not done that, I don't know that I'd be doing this today either. Yeah.
You graduated from college?
Yeah, I graduated from college in 94, and then I went back for 2 more years to get my teacher certification.
Good. So you wanted to teach. So your thought processes. I'm interested in consciousness. How do we grow our consciousness over time?
Awesome.
How
Yeah.
do you see yourself at that time? How did you see yourself and see what are the limits of possibilities? Because I talk to many women around the world, and the limits of what a woman can see as possible is different from a white male sees as possible, a black male sees as possible, a white man and the white female. But what were the limits of the possibilities of your consciousness at that time?
Gosh, that's a big question. I mean, at that time, so I ended up, my husband and I didn't actually get together until, like, that was in 93 when we met. We didn't figure out that we liked each other until 2003, 10 years later. So I was in a really serious relationship in the early 90s, and I was very set on, honestly, the thing that I thought was the thing to do is you graduate from college and then you get married.
That is the thing. I mean, that is my
Yeah.
mother, secretary, nurse, teacher. That's it. These are the questions. And then you're coming on later in that. Did you have any women's studies or any consciousness of the gender dynamics?
It's not women's studies, but I had sort of kind of untraditional, like, I always wanted to do whatever the boys were doing.
Yeah.
I think that's why I wanted to play drums. I was a big tomboy when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And my mom is amazing, and she's got a wonderful spirit, and she's one of my best friends. But I mean,
This is Linda, right?
Linda, yeah. When I was a young kid, I mean, again, I was pretty sheltered, and like she didn't want me to play the drums because girls didn't do that.
Sure.
I wanted to play sports with the boys, and she wouldn't allow me to do that. And so, I mean, I definitely felt like there were a lot of things that I wanted to do when I was younger that I couldn't do because I was a girl. And then I had a younger brother, and I saw as I was getting older, and like when I was a teenager, and I wanted to go out with my friends more and do more things, and I felt like they were a lot stricter, my parents were, on me than they were my brother, and that would make me really, really angry. So I had a lot of that growing up, and then but I also at the same time, I mean, like I said, it was still ingrained in me that you graduate college and then you find a good man and you marry him. But I was at least aware of my aunt, my dad's sister. That's whose house we're staying in right now. She's 90. She's almost 96, and she never got married, never had any children. She was just a super independent woman, especially for her age.
Wow.
I don't think I recognized it until I was older. And then things like that really started to be more of an influence on me, if that makes sense. Like, even though it's like, it's from the past, but it's like me realizing that, like, I'm really glad that I had her as an influence, even if it was something I didn't really appreciate or even really recognize until I was much older. So, yeah.
You win. All right. So you're going ahead, you getting your teacher certificate. what happens next?
Oh, I never taught. I never used it. So I did that. My mother had also always told me that I should get my teaching certificate so I'd have something to
Something to
fall back
fall
on.
back on.
That's,
The
yeah.
fall. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
I'm falling
exactly.
back. but yeah, and so honestly, Dennis, when I graduated in 94 with an English degree.
Hmm.
Um, I thought I might want to go into like journalism or something, but
Sure.
more than anything, I wasn't I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to be in the working world. I wasn't ready to decide what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
I really liked college and I
Yeah,
kind of wanted more of it. So I was
sure.
like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go back for 2 more years to get that certificate to fall back on. And I did, but I never used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I got
We
when
never
I,
used it in that way. Let's
exactly.
broaden it. Let's
That's true.
broaden
That's
out because
true.
there's so
Yeah.
much of what you would
Yeah.
learn in that because I see you
Absolutely.
as a performer. We're teachers and learners.
Hmm.
We learn and grow and we move in that. So there is,
Yeah.
it's a much broader perspective than how we're using it in that particular way.
That's true. That's a really good point. Um, and yeah, I was really interested in like the journalism stuff still, and
Sure.
so that I went in that direction
Yep.
when I graduated instead of going in the teaching direction.
Well,
But
we're in the
yeah,
same field because I did the
yeah,
same thing myself. So I
yeah,
understand that pull of it because it's
yeah,
storytelling,
absolutely, yeah, hmm,
and we're telling people stories.
yeah.
Then did you continue in your music then? Did you do?
Okay, so we're looking at like around 96.
Sure.
So I was still playing drums. I played drums in a variety of bands um, all through the 90s into the 2000s.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I still I haven't played in a while because just the situation we're in
Sure.
hasn't really been conducive to it. Um, but I love. I mean, the drums are my first love. So
That's this
yeah,
is the rhythm, the percussion, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Did you start writing or did you start playing music and picking up the guitar and
Yeah,
wanting to get
so
out there and be in front? Because the drum, I've talked with Renee
mhm,
Jaworski about this a
yeah,
lot,
yeah,
and the drum, as I understand it, you have to
mhm,
understand. I'm a non-musician.
yeah,
I'm can appreciate, but I don't really get a lot of it. But from
yeah,
what I understand, the drummer is not a front person. There is some distance between the front person and the drummer, so that it takes something to come out into the front.
right. So basically, for me, I played in a band with my ex for a while, and he was a really good singer and writer. Um, and I got to where I started doing like backing vocals while I was playing drums, and occasionally would sing lead. I really liked it because you didn't see that a lot.
Yeah,
And I think I was really just proud that I could even do it, that I was able to sing and play drums at the same time. And my voice was real. He had a very trained voice, and mine was really like raw and undeveloped, but it was kind of indie rock music. And I think that appealed to some people, you know. And so that was really my first experience with singing. And then over time I would play around with his guitar a little bit, and I wrote some songs, but I did not at all, I would not say I was a songwriter, because
hmm,
I was just approaching it from a very different place. It was like we would put songs together more based on just kind of like the sonics of like, and just the different parts, which is, it's just a lot different from sitting down with an acoustic guitar
sure.
and making up a story, you know. But I did a little bit of that, and then it wasn't until when I moved to Atlanta in 2004 I started playing with a couple of just more like songwriters. Like I've mentioned, Chickens and Pigs was one of them, and Jeff Evans, and he's such a unique, interesting
Mhm.
songwriter, and his lyrics are amazing. And so I played with him, and then shortly after, I also started playing with a good friend of mine. Her name is Mary O. Harrison, and or Mary O. It's not like O Harrison. It's Mary
Yes.
initial O Harrison. It sounded like I was saying O Harrison, but anyway, she was also a really great writer and really like told really good stories in her songs. And I think the two of them just really inspired me to try to do it. And kind of on a whim, in I think it was either 06 or 07, I went to a big flea market that they used to have in Atlanta, the Lakewood Antiques Market, and saw an old beat up acoustic guitar for like $70. And I was like, I think I'd like to get that and try to write songs. And I did. And then I by this point I had also gotten divorced, and I wrote a ton of songs like about my divorce, just like really, really quickly. So that's how that started.
And poured it out. All right, well,
Yeah.
play us a bridge
Sure.
of something from that time, or something that would give us a sense of Kim at that time, around that time, around that sense. So then we're going to take you into the future and into the present. So give us something along that line.
Holy cow. I wish I remembered something I wrote around that time.
All right, well, give us something, just something that you prepared, and that will give us a sense, because I'll have everyone to look backward as we're looking into the depths of your music.
Yeah. So there's one I specifically want to save till the end. So I kind of want to play a new one.
Do it.
But it's still me. Was my volume okay on that last one?
Oh, it was great.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the reason I wanted to play this one, this one's called Full Moon in Scorpio. And a lot of my songs, like the one I played earlier, I think a lot of them start with the word I. And they start with a feeling, and they start with something internal.
Yep.
And where I'm trying to go, and what I think this song does, is it establishes a setting at the beginning, which is more the direction that I would like to go in. So I wanted to share that one.
Go for it.
All right. There's a snake chasing pack rats in my closet, and I'm afraid if I walk past I might cause it to get mad, to be bad, make me wish I never had closed the door. And there's a white cat chasing blackbirds in my backyard. It gets close, but you know the catch is so hard. It's having fun on the run, don't belong to anyone anymore. There's a full moon in Scorpio, and I think you know what that means. Changed my views, broke my own rules, and moved to the country. Down in a new town, fell some fruit and sun.
This episode of A Conversation With has been sponsored by In Search of the New Compassionate Male. For more information, visit newcompassionatemale.com.